Dorothy's daughter. Welcome to my channel. Today I've got a bit of an update on Be Made Mexico for you. A little bit of a swimsuit pattern review and a few little miscellaneous things I'd like to talk to you about, including some viewer makes at the end of this video. So this is going to be sort of a potpourri of things today. I'd also like to just say welcome to any new subscribers that are out there. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you would like to take your sewing to the next level and would like to join this wonderful community of sewists that I'm growing in love with more and more every day, everyone just is so amazing. All the comments and love that you pour my way and each other's way just blows my mind. So I love the online community for that. As sewing sisters, we support each other. It doesn't matter anything else except that we have sewing in common. So if you'd like to be part of a community like that, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click that bell and you'll be notified whenever we have an update. All right, so Be Made Mexico is going very well. I have accomplished most things on my list. I still have a few bathing suits to do. A jumpsuit that may or may not get finished because I have another project that kind of has to take precedent over that. And I'll tell you a bit about that too. Well, I made I'll tell you all about the Alexandria suit from Made for Mermaids in a moment. Wonderful end result, I'll say that. But I'll tell you a few things about that pattern. Not bad, but just some things to watch out for. I've been sewing a few cover-ups. I'm going to go ahead and share these with you. So I've been on a Patterns for Pirates essential tank kick lately. So I started to make a bathing suit cover-up for a solid purple bathing suit that I'm making. When I went to cut this out, I couldn't help but notice that there was plenty for a maxi dress. So this got derailed into a maxi dress, which I'm thrilled because I'll wear this more. I can still throw it over my suit if I want to. And I love how that pattern fits. Love, love, love. So it takes the curves of your own body. It's meant for a curvy woman. And it just hugs in the right places and hides the right places. So I love this pattern. The other essential tank that I made is a cover-up. It's a shorter version and just plain white, which I love for a cover-up for the pool or beach or wherever you like to go. And that's a couple things that I've been doing. I've also made some tops. I've made some maxi dresses. I've made a ton of things. I have more than enough things to go to dinner. So now I'm focusing primarily on swimsuits and cover-ups. So I have a few more cover-ups I want to make before I'm leaving on Saturday. So time is getting short. But I have a few cover-ups to make and a few more bathing suits I'd like to make. I have about 5. A few that I made last year and a few that I made this year. I think I've made 3 so far this year. So may or may not get to make a whole lot more, but I would like to do at least 2 more this week. So I will be sharing those with you as time goes. But since this is the Swim and Beachwear Roundup, I wanted to focus just a little bit on the Alexandria suit from Made for Mermaids. I am going to go ahead and put my sketch up here of what I wanted it to look like. So I have this matte athletic swim. It's matte on one side and shiny on the other. If you can see. Oops, that's lined. Here's the shiny. Okay. So what I wanted to do was make the ruffle out of the shiny and the body out of the matte, which is what I did. And I'm going to pop a picture up here of me wearing the end result. And I'm very happy with how it came out. I'm going to be very proud to wear that by the pool and beach and whatnot. It definitely fits like a glove. But let me tell you the story. This suit has taken me way longer than it should have. Part of it being my fault. Part of it, I do have to fault the pattern just a little bit. Although I love Made for Mermaids, I didn't think the drafting was up to their standard on this one. I will say that. The adjustments I made to it, without even attempting anything, was I lengthened the body, as I always have to with swimsuits. As you know, I've told you before, I've got a really long torso. And the other thing I did, which I'm going to cut to the table here and show you a little bit more closer up of what I did, but I used the bottom from another bathing suit, which is the Jaylee 3350, because I know that comes down and covers my bottom and is very, very modest in that general area, if you know what I mean. And so I really wanted it to be like that. I was a little uncomfortable that the cottle sew wasn't like that. So I just am assuming now that the newer suits that are made for maybe younger people might be cut up a little high on the sides and a little high in the bottom area. So I decided from now on, I know that I like the way the bottom of that bathing suit is cut of the Jaylee. So from now on, I'm using that bottom part on every bathing suit pattern that I make. And I'm going to show you how I did that. It's super easy, but it's just a matter of laying one pattern on top of the other. And it was very, very easy to do. So now when it got to sewing this bathing suit, I thought, no sweat. I've made a ton of bathing suits before. And I just thought that I would know how to do it. And I didn't look at the directions a whole lot. I mean, there's the problem right there. I assumed, and you know what they say happens when you assume. I assumed that the construction methods would be what I'm used to. Well, as it turns out, there's her construction method with the lining and the elastic going between the body of the garment and the lining, instead of at the end where it's together, where it's like more of an underline. Her construction was completely different than most of the other suits I've made. So that kind of got me into trouble, because I had the lining that just would not stay down where it should be, even though I understitched it and did all the things that they said on the pattern. I think it's probably the way that I cut it out, and I just did it without even thinking about the construction method being different. So lesson 1 is to follow that pattern's instructions, even if you think you know more, because obviously pride goes before fall, because I had kind of a mess on my hands at that point, but I persevered and I kind of took it back to ground zero, built it back up, ended up sewing a bit more down here under the ruffle, and it's fine now. It looks really great, actually. But yeah, definitely follow their directions. And, I would just say this is not a beginner pattern, okay? It really shouldn't have been this hard, but it's not a beginner pattern. Yeah, but I love the suit. I love that I did the contrasting shiny and matte. I'm very excited to wear this suit. It was worth the time. But if you make the Alexandria suit, and you're an accomplished sewist, I would say maybe a beginner would do better, because they'd read the directions more carefully. If you're an accomplished sewist, don't assume that it's going to be the same method as you're used to. That's all. And probably that's true of anything. So that was a good reminder to me to don't ever think you're too smart to read the directions. So don't fall into the trap I did. I am not the end-all, know-all, and I should have read the entire directions in its entirety before, steaming full force ahead to make this suit. Had I done that, I would have probably not had the issues that I had. But anyway, I ended up with a great suit, and I'm very happy with it. It was totally worth the time. I'd like to make another cover up to go over this suit because I have some of the ones I've made I don't think would look good with the ruffles, so I want to make like an open one. So that's coming maybe this week. So that is what I wanted to tell you about Alexandria. And in a moment, I'm going to cut to a different camera view, and I'm going to show you how to blend the bottom of one suit into like a more modern suit so that you definitely have that bottom coverage that you want. Maybe some other suits are like that, but I'm just not going to assume anymore. I'll at least hold the pattern up to the other one and make sure that has the coverage I want, because I ended up not being super happy with the cheek sneak of the cottle sew. I ended up cutting that off into a top, and you'll see it turned, that's great too, but definitely be mindful of the fact that it's just like going shopping then. You know, you go shopping, you can't find a suit that comes down and covers everything. Patterns are the same way if you don't alter them. So if you want to do a very modest swimsuit that covers everything really well, my high recommendation is the Lee 3350, which I've made several times, and I'm going to make hopefully maybe at least one more this week. It is a fantastic pattern. It covers complete coverage of your bottom, and I'm very happy that I went ahead and used that on the bottom. Well, you'll see how much different it was. Enough different that I think it would have made me uncomfortable. Okay? So those are my thoughts on that, but no malice intended to Made for Mermaids, because I actually love a few of the patterns that I have. It was as much my fault as it was the pattern, although there were things on that pattern that just didn't line up as nicely as some others. And it might have been a little bit the drafting, it might have been my frustration, I'm not really sure. But I got in a mess that only an experienced sewist could get out of. So yeah, I would not recommend that as a first time bathing suit. Okay, and then the other thing I have coming in a little bit is viewer makes. I actually have lots to show you of that today. But first, what I'd like to do is I never have really talked about this, but another thing I wanted to talk to you about is the finale of Project Runway. I don't know if any of the rest of you love that show as much as I do, but I can't get enough of it. I just wait and wait and wait till it's back on. And I wish we could get the Great British Sewing Bee, but we don't get that here. We can watch it like 2 seasons back on YouTube, but we can't get it as it's going on. So by the time we get to watch it, we already know who's won, but it's still fun to watch. But anyway, Project Runway finale is this coming week. And I don't like his personality, but I think Sergio is a very good designer. I've liked everything that I've seen him send down the runway. I think Victoria is cute as a button. You go, girl, to Nancy. She's 64 years old and competing in Project Runway, which means I could do that. No, I'm not talented enough to do that. But you know, when you see someone who's close to your age, it's kind of fun to root for them. I think she's a very good designer too. And I think the 4 that are left are amazing. So it's going to be really interesting to see who won. So yeah, do you have a favorite? Post it down there. I think that I would go with either Nancy or Sergio. Although Jeffrey, I want to cry for him every week because he's just so sad. I think he's a really good designer too. I think all of them deserve it, but I would go with Sergio just based on the designs that I've seen. His personality though, he's kind of, it's one thing to have a passion about something, you know, that you want to like, you know, really make awareness for, but he changes it every week. And that's kind of, you know, I don't know, that gets really old really fast. Although I did think this collection that he's got, that he's about to show next week, I did think that it was beautiful, just beautiful. It didn't really speak to me of the melting Arctic ice caps, but it's beautiful nonetheless. So I didn't really like the sheer dress over the undergarments. If that had a slip dress underneath, that would be gorgeous. Unfortunately, it was copyright. I can't show these to you, but if you go to Bravo TV, I'm sure you can look at the looks from this past week, and in fact, probably all of them. You can watch past episodes online, I believe. And yeah, so I don't know. Who do you want to win? Go ahead and put tell me down in the comments. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that one of the reasons I always loved Project Runway is because I just love Tim Gunn. He has just such a sweet fatherly way about him, and he never pushed them to do over sexy things, or he always kept it real, kept it classy, and I just love him for that. And if you miss him in Project Runway, the good news is he and Heidi Klum are going to have Making the Cut on Amazon Prime. I think it starts March 27th, and it's a runway show just like Project Runway, and it looks really good. I've seen some clips, you know, from the previews and stuff, and it looks like it'll be more like the original Project Runway that we all know and love. So I really enjoy that. And the other thing I enjoy watching, and I also got these on Amazon Prime, is the Tim Gunn's Guide to Style. Now that's from several years ago, but he's got, you know, he gives timeless principles to people. And it's kind of like that show, I can't think of the name of the show now, but it's kind of like the show where Clinton Kelly used to, with Stacy, I don't know what her last name was, where they took the person's closet and went through it. It's kind of like that. But he really refines people's looks, and it's fun to watch. So just, you know, if you enjoy fashion, those are some things you might want to check out. And I am going to Mexico next Saturday, which means that I will be away from my video camera and my computer, although I'll probably maybe sneak a little selfie story somewhere, maybe on Instagram or something in between. But I will be doing a Me Made Mexico reveal when I get back. I'm going to make my husband take pictures of everything. As it stands right now, if I were leaving today, I have plenty of Me Mades to take with me to make that trip. So yeah, Me Made Mexico is going to happen, which is really fun. And while I'm gone, I'm going to have a couple of designer reviews. One will be on Megan Nielsen designs, and one will be on Itch to Stitch. And so there'll be two more of the indie design focuses that I'm going to film before I leave and upload them. And if I have time, I may upload a couple, maybe one or two other of the swimsuits that I'm going to finish this week. So just to let you know where we're at, I may or may not have time to do a whole lot more than that between now and then because it's really busy. I showed you what I was sewing for me, and then I also have a project going. My little granddaughters are in a musical. The musical is called Axe City Rising, and it's put on by their homeschool group. And they do fantastic musicals. Last year they did Pirates of Penzance. They've done Beauty and the Beast in the past. They've done, you know, lots of really popular musicals. This year it's a musical that I haven't heard that much about, but it's phenomenal. It's called Axe City Rising, and it's actually a dramatization of the Book of Acts, and it's very, very neat, and it's parts of it are funny, parts of it are serious. It's not Godspell, but it's not just all real super solemn either. So it's somewhere in between. And they are just doing a phenomenal job. Well, my job as, I usually help with costumes. So my job this year is to make Tongues of Fire costumes, because this is during the Pentecost. If you're not familiar with the Book of Acts, if you're not familiar with Pentecost, it's where the Holy Spirit was sent for us so that we could accomplish God's will here on earth. Once Jesus left, he sent the Spirit to be our comforter and guide. And so the tongues of fire were a symbol of that in the book of Acts. So there are 9 girls who are doing all kinds of arm motions, and they're going to be like a live fire. And there's 9 of them. And I'm making all 9 costumes. I have one of them done as a prototype. And they're just not cool unless you can see them in action. Here's my granddaughter in one, but seeing them in action with the streamers flying and everything will really, I think, be cool. So lots of red, orange, and yellow satin. This is the skater skirt from Love Notions, sort of simplified with elastic waist. And yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I am doing 8 more of these. So you can pray for me because I really need to get those done. So that's primarily going to be my weekend project. I hope to have those done by Sunday night so that I can focus on the rest of my bathing suits and things for my trip. So the musical will happen the weekend that I get back. And so I will be back for the Sunday performance, and I can't wait because they just did such a great job last year, and I've seen just snippets of it from practices this year, and it's going to be amazing. So if you're in the Northwest Ohio area and you want to know more, just PM me and I will send you the information. Okay? All right. So one more thing. I just have a little bit of a warning. Someone sent me a pattern for a face mask, a surgical mask, and said maybe people would like to make these for coronavirus. Okay, the nurse in me came out. First of all, surgical masks have filter material in them that can, I forget how many microns, but it filters out minute substances. Cloth does not. It would be the equivalent of holding a hanky over your face, which I'm not saying that that isn't valuable a little bit, but you need to know that that's not going to protect you from coronavirus in the general public. Okay, so that's my little public service announcement. They might be worth making just if you have a little kid who's sick and they don't do real good hanky technique, something like that. It's not going to do a thing to protect you from getting coronavirus, so please don't rely on that. Rely on hand washing, hand sanitizer, disinfecting surfaces, and staying away from people who are coughing. Read what the CDC recommends and follow suit. Okay? That is my public service announcement for today. I'm sorry, the nurse in me just has to do that. Okay. I'm going to cut to a different camera angle now, and I'm going to show you how to blend the bathing suits, the 2 bottoms, into each other. Okay, this is my pattern from the Alexandria Swimsuit. Okay, you can see I lowered the bodice, lengthened the bodice, I mean, and this is the bottom, okay? So here is where the Jaylee suit came. All right, you can see that that's a lot more coverage. So all I did was hold the Jaylee suit up to this and then just lined up where the crotch is, and then just went ahead and traced on tracing paper and added it to this suit. Here's the back, same thing. Here's the back, and you can see there is the difference in the coverage. Let me get that all the way on camera. There you go. So you can see that, and basically all I did was trace the pattern off on tracing paper, and then I just lined it up here. So, and that's basically all there is to that. But I just wanted you to, you know, once you get a pattern that fits you in the bum, I'd stick with it, because that's what I should have done with the Cotlasso, but I didn't, and I ended up really not liking the coverage at all. So If you want to get a good basic for that, the Jaylee 3350 is great. I'll show you that pattern too. So here's my Jaylee pattern. Here's the bottom. Okay, so when I put, that's the back. When I put the Alexandria, I have to do it this way. You can see, I had to trace it off and then put it since it was on the wrong side. But when I put the Alexandria onto that, you can see how much different the coverage was. I just kind of went from the hip line and added that on. So yeah, this is the Jaylee pattern. Great pattern. I'm going to be using this one. Okay, that one's a lower back for a different view. And here's a front. And then it has bra shapes that go in there, which makes it really easy for cup placement. So, great pattern here. And hopefully be able to show you, well, I showed you some that I made already when I showed you the last year's suits, but hopefully I'll have some new ones to show you as well. All right, just wanted to share that with you. Good tip, I think, for making sure that you have the coverage you want out of your bathing suits. I hope that helps you when you're sewing your own suits. I know part of why I sew my own suits is so that I have the coverage that I want. And it'd be a shame to make them and still not get the coverage you want. So just a tip on that. I have not tried any other Jaylee suits, so I can't speak for the other patterns, but the 3350 has great coverage and it goes up pretty good with the sizing too. All right, so now I have some viewer makes to share with you. And the first one, I had a whole bunch of emails after I put a call out on that last week. Laveda Jenkins, who's a pretty long time subscriber, and she comments a lot, and I really appreciate her. She made her version of the La Belladonna tee from Love Notions, and she says she put a band around the neck instead of turning under and stitching, and she loves the pattern and will be making more, and here she is in her La Belladonna. Stacy Clay sent 2 Ellie and Mac everyday tees that she made. Lovely pattern as well. And Ann Hines 59 on Instagram, she wrote this: "Hi Kim, since you are the one who encouraged me to get some indie patterns, I wanted to share this with you. I looked at Walmart for oversized envelopes and couldn't find what I wanted, so an idea came to me to make my own. Here is the result." So she made these pattern storage envelopes, and I think they're wonderful. And if you're watching, I would love it if you wanted to submit a tutorial or even film yourself in a tutorial. Perhaps we could put that in a video, or if you send me a tutorial, maybe I could do a little sew along of those, because I think those are just genius. So thank you for that idea, Anne. And if you'd like to share that, just give me a message somewhere and we'll make that happen. All right. And Kathy Benya, who is actually local to me, I met her as a subscriber, but she's local to me and we've been out to coffee and stuff. She sent me her ruffle sleeve top. She says she made it during a snowstorm, which we did have a bad snowstorm a couple weeks ago. It's the Peppermint Magazine ruffle sleeve top. And she said she did all French seams and lined the whole thing with Swiss batiste. So wonderful. She said it was left over from her smocking days 30 plus years ago. So hang on to those supplies. Don't ever let anybody make fun of you for having a stash. The fabric is linen from Fabric Mart. Okay. And she also sent this beautiful Pona jacket, which is the new Helen's Closet jacket pattern. I want to make one. I just haven't gotten around to it. Anyway, she said she's pretty proud of her Pona jacket. It's her wearable muslin. The next one will be longer and with pockets. And that'll be neat to see too. And French seams and bias bound facings. And also, Lynn Also, Lynn from Instagram, and a lot of us know her very well, Lynn Prentice. Anyway, she sent me her La Belladonna tunic that she made. It's long sleeves with a straight bottom, and she says she has a couple shorter ones cut out, and it's a very great go-to pattern. So, and really, that is just so pretty on her. That blue is to die for. So, anyway, those are the viewer makes for today. As usual, if you have any viewer makes you'd like to share, please go ahead. My email address is down in the description box. Please go ahead and email them to me, or you can message me on Instagram. I would love to share them online. So anyway, that brings me to a close for today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Happy sewing.